Hi, my name's Sean. I'm here to talk about the history and the development of Tstand, kind of where we came from. So when we first built the first concept, the idea was, okay, I'd like to watch an iPad in bed like this. I want a big screen experience with my iPad. But I didn't know how to embody that, and we had looked at the market and we saw a lot of things that connected to tables and stood on floors, but they're big and bulky and they're non-transportable. So I had to make something to sit on me in bed. So what we first thought of, now this is a breadboard prototype. It's just screwed and glued together, cheap and fast, cut by hand with a big jigsaw called a bandsaw. And this is it. This big, ugly, huge cloverleaf construction. We used just hinges screwed in from Home Depot. It has a kickstand. It does not have two positions. It has one position. That's the bed position, because at the beginning, that's all we cared about. And it sat on me like this, and I took my iPad and I mounted it on the cloverleaf. It had these straps, which just wrapped around, and it had a bunch of holes in the back so it could fit different size devices, but it was huge. But it worked. I got this thing home, this breadboard, and I used it, and I couldn't put it down. I was binging on Netflix like every day for hours every day. And I was like, wow, this is a big deal. The next step was another breadboard prototype, and it was something in between. It was a bit smaller. It still had a kickstand. It still was not two position. It was single position. And the top hook was Velcro. You would have to take it off and mount your iPad by hand using this breadboard. Now, very, very difficult, right? But at the time, we thought it was great. We thought, oh, Velcro is the answer to everything. Velcro and duct tape, right? This was sitting in my studio on a 35-degree day, 35 Celsius, 95 Fahrenheit, roughly. And it was so hot that the Velcro tape, the adhesive melted. The top hook just fell to the ground. My iPad fell to the ground, destroying my iPad. It was a very good lesson because never could we use Velcro again for the top hook. Okay, so the next step was this guy, which used a sliding arm. It had a Velcro kickstand, still single position, still really just for the bed position, but it did have the elastic band. It was the first step with the elastic band and the top hook sliding in a channel. It didn't have a sleeve yet. That was the following step. As a compromise, because it didn't have the rotatable base, we just created like a little shelf so you could have sort of a desktop position, but it was loose. The iPad could fall out of it. It wasn't really transportable. The next version, we did start to kind of look at the industrial design. We wanted to make it edgy at first. We thought this was kind of a form factor we were interested in for a little while. And this one had the sliding arm that for the first time was inside a sleeve. And that survived. This feature survived to the final product. We still were using Velcro for the base. It wasn't our favorite because we had the accident when the Velcro melted in the heat. So we needed an answer for that. For this project, we literally had 25 different prototypes. Each one of the CNC prototypes costing maybe around between $2,500 and $3,000 US. So they're not cheap. The next one was this version, which is actually, it's been banged around the office, so it's a little bit broken, but it's this one where it has, for the first time, a friction hinge. Much like a laptop has a friction hinge, this one had a friction hinge. This is still a really rough prototype. We weren't sure how to engineer it, so we put just a bunch of screws in real fast so we could get the prototype because we were so excited to test the friction hinge. We didn't care too much about beauty. We just wanted to quickly embody it and see if it was going to work like the other ones worked, and see how great the friction is. So for the first time, we had a product that would sit with the iPad on your chest in bed, and then it would pivot around and create the desktop mode with the friction hinge. And this friction hinge was really strong too. Like we weren't sure. So for the first time, we had a product that had bed mode and desktop mode. And what we didn't realize at the time is it's many modes in between. You can use it on your desk, on a couch, in an airplane, in a car. It really became this multifunctional device because of the multiple angles. And this was the first embodiment of that. It's still a bit too big, but we knew we had something really good. We just had to make it smaller. So this one was smaller. Again, multiple positions, multiple functionality. The design is still really edgy. It had these slots because at one point we were thinking of making a harness so you could walk around with it. Then at one point, two things came up. One was the expense. We decided we wanted to try and make it cheaper because it's kind of an expensive product. It has metal structure inside. It has expensive friction hinges. So then we made a smaller one that was really thin. And you know, the idea was, well, this would be super lightweight and super thin, right? And super sleek. The problem was, with the really thin one, is that one, it won't fit an iPad Pro. It's just too small. And most people who are using this device want an iPad Pro. Two, it became too flimsy. You know, you're not going to put your $1,000 iPad in something that's so flimsy, right? This is about to break and fall apart. So we felt that as the shape evolved into a soft, very ergonomic feeling device, we felt that we really hit the target as something that was being strong and robust, something that wouldn't fall apart, that you could walk around your house with your iPad locked in, that you didn't feel it was going to break, and you really felt that it was strong and solid on your chest. That became important. The flimsy one really can't be done. This is the Tstand 1. Now, Tstand 1 was really good. We had 10,000 units that we sold, tons of happy customers. It wasn't perfect. It had some small problems. We discovered things like 20% of these units became squeaky. You can hear that squeak. If you're lying in bed next to your partner, when you put it on the floor or put it on your bedside table, just lifting it off, it makes squeak. So that became a problem. And we did quality control, did whatever we could to remove them. Nevertheless, some of them got through, and it became the biggest complaint that we had. And the next step is Tstand 2, which is rubber. Rubber, it's got a high-tech rubber coating. It's very nice, super quiet, super smooth. You know, we did a lot of other changes. We re-engineered the bottom hooks so that they'll last many, many years without breaking. Just wanted to improve the engineering overall so that it'll last a lifetime. That's our great hope, is that the Tstand will last a lifetime. So that's it. That's kind of the final form, is now the Tstand 2 rubberized with lots of great engineering. You know, it's super strong. It's super quiet. It's a great device that can be used multifunctionally as a selfie stick, or as, you know, it's got the desk mode, the desktop mode. I put it in the airplane. I lean it on the seat in front of me in the airplane, and it becomes a big screen experience. You know, it's been great. So that's kind of the history and the journey that we've gone through to develop the iPad experience perfected. Thanks.